Revenue from email marketing is estimated to be around $8.49 billion. And it is also estimated that it will grow to 17 billion by the end of 2027. So that means that in just a couple of years, the revenue from email will double. So it shows that there's a lot of revenue to be generated from email. And if you are not having 20% of your online revenue coming through email, it shows that you have a lot of potential to grow and to get more revenue out of your email efforts. In this video, I'm going to dive into the reasons why you not might be getting to this 20%. And I'm not going to talk about how to do your promotions. That will be discussed in this video. But I'm going to talk about 3 other things that you can apply in order to maximize your campaigns. Now, one problem with not maximizing the revenue from email campaigns is because oftentimes when brands are sending out emails, they are generating revenue from it. So they're sending out campaigns, they see revenue coming in, and they're like, okay, great, things are going well. This is probably the most that we can do. But that's not necessarily the case. And that's a big underlying problem in not maximizing the revenue that you can get from your email campaigns. But there are 3 other things that you can apply that you need to take care of in order to be able to maximize your revenue from your email campaigns. Now, before I dive into that, if you're new here, I'm Marc Uitterhoeve and I'm the CEO of the Extra Agency. And we help 6-figure stores grow to 7 figures and beyond by helping them implement the essential marketing foundations. Because if you don't have them set and you're going to acquire a lot of traffic, or you're just going to acquire traffic in general, you're not getting the most out of the visitors that are coming to your site, especially if you're spending money on acquiring traffic or you're going to spend money on ads to acquire traffic. You want, of course, to make sure that you maximize the most out of the people coming in by making sure that more of them convert, also that they spend more on average, and that they buy again. And this is what we teach in our 7-figure foundations program. And email campaigns is one of the 9 steps that need to be taken in order to get these foundations right. Now, there are not only 3 things that you can apply in order to maximize the revenue from your campaigns, there are also 3 reasons why it's not currently happening. The first one is because a lot of times brands feel like they would spam their customers or their audience if they're going to send out emails. And that is because, especially 10 years ago, there was a stigmatism on email that it wasn't working, that people were being annoyed by emails. And the reason for that is that they oftentimes weren't really relevant. And therefore, people were like, I'm not going to do email, I'm just spamming them. People were also getting a lot of emails themselves. Brand owners, marketeers, they were also getting a lot of emails themselves. They were getting annoyed. And it created a bit of a vacuum, a long period of time where email was really underutilized. The last couple of years, this has been picking up again. But there are still brands that feel the same way, that they don't want to spam their customers. And that's also because there are still some brands that to this day email their customers every day with not necessarily engaging content. So it is important that you get rid of that feeling and that you're going to apply the right strategies so that you're not going to spam your customers and that you're actually offering them value. The second one is that oftentimes the brands don't have the idea of what to email them. Sure, they can come up with 5 emails or 10 emails that are about their brand, about the product, that can be engaging content, but then the inspiration dries up and they feel like, okay, I just can't come up with something, but I would just be spamming my audience, and I didn't want that. It needs to be good content, and then it dries up, and then therefore they are not going to pull through and push through with the marketing strategy. And the third one is a lack of time and resources. So you know what you can write about, and you know that it's engaging, and you don't spam your customers, but you just don't have the time or the resources to invest in it in order to get the content out there and to make sure that you have a batch of emails that you can send to your customers on a regular basis. Now, the funny thing is that these 3 actually correlate with each other, because oftentimes, if you don't know what to write about and you don't have the time and resources to actually sit down or have a team member sit down and think of topics and things that are interesting, then you indeed will feel like you're spamming your audience if you are not going to be confident in your content. And then you get a bit stuck in a vicious cycle. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be a struggle. If you apply certain principles and strategies, then you can create a good email strategy and you won't be struggling with getting that out the door. Now, the following 3 points will help you make it feel like it's not that much of a struggle. And the first one is less is more. And this is more of a mind shift that you need to make in order, you need to look differently at things in order to make it easier for you. Because if you're too focused on growing your subscribers list and having a big list of subscribers, then you're going to also struggle every time people are going to be unsubscribing. And you're also very careful with sending out emails because you're afraid that people are going to unsubscribe. Now, the thing is that of course you don't want people to unsubscribe, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. The thing is that you will constantly have new subscribers to your list, and at the bottom there will be people dropping off. That's fine. That's natural. That's how it's supposed to go, because not everyone is going to be interested. Some just signed up for the discount, or they were curious, but they were never interested in buying. And it's fine if they leave. It is okay. And if you're sending out emails and you see that your unsubscribe rate is very high, of course, you need to look into the content that you're sharing, the subjects that you are emailing about. But it doesn't mean that if people unsubscribe, that it's a bad thing. It's an organic thing. Let me just take you on this example. It's a weird example, but it illustrates the point. Let's say that you have two lists. You have one list of 100,000 email addresses of Italian people, just random Italian people. And you also have a list on the other side of 5,000 German subscribers, and they all have acne problems. Now, imagine that you have a product that solves acne, and or at least relieves the acne on people's skin. And it is a product that is sold in Germany. Now, if you're going to send an email out to 100,000 Italians that maybe not have acne problems, do you think that is more effective than if you send out that same email to only 5,000 Germans that have acne problems? This is a really obvious case where you say, of course, the 5,000 Germans with acne problems will be more likely to buy a German product that relieves them from acne that is sold in Germany. Of course, that makes sense. But that's also how you should look at your own list. It doesn't make sense that if you have 20,000 people on your list that are not really interested in your product, or at least not anymore, that you keep holding on to them. Just let them go. That's fine. Is if you only have 5,000 left, then it's good if they are all engaging and if they're all happy with you and the products that you're selling. And this will actually help with your promotions, because if you have an engaged subscribers list and the open rates are good and the click rates are good, it means that your sender reputation is improving. And if you have a good sender reputation, what will happen is that you are less likely to end up in spam or in the promotions folder in Gmail. And that's what you want. You don't want to send out emails with people not opening them, unsubscribing, reporting you as spam because they just are annoyed with getting these emails that are not relevant to them and they can't be bothered to unsubscribe. Because yes, that happens. And therefore, your sender reputation goes down, and that will affect your campaigns, because when your emails are not going to be in the priority inbox, or they're not going to be in the general inbox, but they're going to be in spam, then you are not going to maximize the revenue out of your campaign. So don't underestimate this point. Now, the second one is the unsubscribe rate. And this is, of course, correlated with the other one, the previous one, where it's okay that you have less people, but doesn't mean that it's good if a lot of people just constantly are unsubscribing. So you need to make sure that you're also on the other side are going to reduce the risk of people unsubscribing. So the first thing that you can do is to ask subscribers about their interests. And this is best done in the first email that you send out when people are subscribing. If you are selling a couple of things, let's say if you're selling supplements and you're making people breathe better with one supplement, the other one is good for their digestive system, the other one is good for their energy. Also ask them, what are they looking to improve? And of course, you can also see this from what they buy, but it's always good to have it asked. Also, if you're selling fashion, what are people interested in? Are they mostly interested in the shoes that you're selling, in all the collections, or maybe just dresses, so that you know what the interests are? So that if you're going to send out emails, they also know what to email about. Or if your brand has certain principles, you can ask them, hey, are you interested in, for example, our product, or also in about what we do to make the world a better place, or also about like new product lines? Then you know what people are interested in, and you can create segments based on their interest and make sure that you're only emailing them about things that they are interested in. This will, of course, increase the relevancy of your content to them and reduce the unsubscribe rate. The second one is to just make sure that you have good content. And there are two ways to go about this. The first one is to test your content, and not only what's in the email, but also your subject line. See what piques their interest. Does it pique their interest if you are always offering them value, or is it piques their interest if you're always using a bit of a joke in your subject line? Like, what is interesting to them? And also check your content. See what people are more engaging with. Look at the open rate of your emails and the click rates of your emails, so that you can see, the people are very interested in when we are talking about what we do internally, how our processes internally look like, and not so much about what we do with our cause that we are supporting. Or it could be the other way around. They're very interested in the cause that we are supporting, but they're not very interested in what we're doing in house, like how our structures look like, and when we are going to go about a new product line, like how that works with us internally. Then you also make sure that you are not email as much about that topic. So also evaluate the things that you are sending out to your customers to see what interests them. And it's also not a bad thing to ask questions in your email and see what people are applying to. And if they are really applying to questions like, what is your favorite flavor, but not about what's your favorite hobby, for example, then you also know that you might steer a bit away from getting too personal information of them, and you're going to focus more on keeping them engaged about your product. Now, the third one is about frequency. It could be that people are not bothered by your email and they also like it, but they just don't want it every week. So if you send out a weekly email, you can also create a segment for people that want to receive an email once a week, and people that want to receive an email only bi-weekly or maybe once a month. So that you make sure that these people only get one or two emails a month and not every week. That also reduce the friction from their point, and therefore you also reduce the unsubscribe rate. So you can just easily do it by asking their preferences. You can also just send an email like, hey, how often would you like to receive our emails? And therefore, you can adjust the frequency. The fourth one is connected to the previous one, is allow people to unsubscribe or to update their preferences. Because if you are allowing people to easily unsubscribe, but also update their preferences, if you have a good link there at the bottom where you can say, hey, you don't want to receive an email this often, or you want to change the frequency, click here, then you're also enabling people to make these changes and also to unsubscribe. If they want to unsubscribe, fine. It's better that they unsubscribe than they are not engaged and it's just an email that you're paying for in your tool, and that is lowering your open rate and therefore also your deliverability. And the fifth one is to actively unsubscribe. And what this means is that you are unsubscribing people from your list. You can create a flow, a sunset flow it's called, that when people are not engaging with your emails at least once in the last 120 days, so in the last 3 months, they haven't opened your email and you're sending out one regularly, so weekly or bi-weekly, then you can unsubscribe them yourself. You give them an email, you send them an email saying, hey, you're still with us. And then you're also asking them, do you want to stay subscribed? Click here, and it creates an engagement so that they won't be in an unengaged list anymore. Or if they don't then reply, then you send another email like, hey, we just want to make sure that you like our emails and that we're not going to be in your inbox while you're not really interested. So we're just going to unsubscribe you, but you're free to subscribe again at any time. And then you just actively unsubscribe them. You put them in a segment after that, and you can just make sure that they get a certain property where you say, okay, unsubscribe yes or unengaged yes. And then when you're sending out emails, you make sure you don't send your emails to people that have the property unengaged is yes. So you can also clean up them at like once every month, so you're also not paying for these emails in your list. And let's just make sure that you have a healthy list that makes sure that your open rates are good, your click rates are good, and therefore your deliverability is good. Right. So now when you understand and also accept that people can unsubscribe, and that's fine, but also what you can do to lower the unsubscribe rate. And don't get me wrong, if you're actively unsubscribe people, which I just told you about, it doesn't show to the email providers that people have unsubscribed. So this is better for your deliverability because people are not requesting to be unsubscribed. You're just removing them yourself. And the same goes for allowing people with an unsubscribe link at the bottom to actively unsubscribe. It's better than they do that, then they report you as spam because they feel like you're harassing them and they have no way to unsubscribe. So besides accepting that people can unsubscribe and also having ways to control that unsubscribe rate, the last point is to know your topics. Now, the reasons why topics are so important is because you cannot only email them about promotions. What this will create is this will create an unengaged audience that just sees again 50% discount in the inbox, and they just waiting for a time when they feel that they can need a discount and they want to maybe to buy a product again, and they just remove all the emails in between. And also it will create therefore an audience that is not really loyal to you because they are only looking for discounts and there's nothing else that you offer them. There's nothing else really of value that you're communicating to them. So if someone else comes along, maybe at a time where they actually would want to buy the product and they give them a discount, like maybe a week before you do, they just go with that kind of brand because they're not really connected to your brand. So it is important that you know your topics and to know what you can email your audience about. And there are plenty of things that you can email them about. You can email about company updates. Now, you don't have to talk about some internal things like, oh, in HR, we shift some people around in the office. But you can talk about things that you are doing. Maybe you're getting an ISO certification. Maybe you are looking into a new product line and you can involve your customers into getting their feedback and know what they're actually interested in. Or what you're going to do is you're going to create an event and you're also going to email them about the build up towards the event so that you can actually get people excited. And actually, people are also going to be so excited that they want to join and want to come. So you can talk about a couple of things, or you can reflect on the last quarter or the last year and also look forward to the new quarter or the new year and what you're going to do. This is one of the emails that you can do. You can also talk about certain product in more detail, about the benefit that it gives them, how it improves their lives when they use it, and some tips and tricks that they can apply in order to get the best out of the product. Or what you can do is show before and after situations from your audience, from your customers. So you ask them also about their before and after stories, and you incentivize them if they give that to you. But you will be surprised how often people like to share their experience and be featured in a bit of a newsletter or on the website. And you can email them about your product and how it, or your brand and how it improved people's lives. So there are a lot of things. There are like more topics that you can apply. You just need to sit down and think of, okay, what is relevant to our audience? What can we do to create value to people's life? And it might be a certain ebook that you create that also helps people to be healthy outside of using your supplements, for example. Or it could be talking about an event that you'll be at and also why you're there and what they can do when they visit your stand. Also show that you're out there. So there are a couple of things that you can email about besides the promotions, because that will create an engaged audience. And even if, like, the best thing is also if you have an own identity. So if you stand for something, like if there is something in your industry that is a bit controversial perhaps, or if there's something going on that you have a strong feeling about, don't be afraid to communicate that to your audience, because not everyone will have the same opinion as you, but the people that do, they will be very active and they will be loyal because they feel like you are on the same team. And they will also introduce you to their friends and family because they say like, hey, this is a brand that supports my cause as well, or thinks the same way as I do about these things. That's also very good. You can make sure that is related to your brand, because otherwise it gets too far off what you're offering, and then people, they don't understand why you're emailing them about that. But if you are a supplement brand and there is a controversy around a certain ingredients, for example, that you use or you don't use, don't be afraid to email them about that, and share your concern, or share your opinion about that. That really creates, you will lose a couple, but the ones that will stay because they feel the same way, they will make your brand stronger and they will introduce you to their peers. So when you sit down and think about topics that you could talk about, and not everything can be planned out a year in advance, there are certain things that will happen throughout the year. But if you at least have your topics ready that you can talk about, then you can always move things around when something relevant or something new appears that you want to talk about then. And you just move up the rest of the emails that you can talk about. If you feel like you can use some help with this, feel free to reach out. Maybe this our Seven Figure Foundations program is something for you, in which we help you build this up and we give you frameworks and templates in order to structure this for you, and we give feedback and support. So if you want to look into that, if you want to see if that is interesting for you, feel free to reach out, schedule a call, and we'll just see what's working for you currently, what's not, and if the program is a good fit for you. Now, don't forget to look at my other videos where I talk about what you can do to grow your store. And we'll talk about email, we'll talk about your website as well, and we talk also about social. So there are a lot of things of your marketing essentials that you can work on in order to improve your store and to maximize your revenue. And make sure that you embrace unsubscribing people. They also have strategies that you can apply to reduce the unsubscribe rate, and also that you look into the topics that you can write about. If you need help with that, just let me know. We can help you and give you some examples. Now, if you like this video and you want to see more, don't forget to give a thumbs up and to subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next video.